What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the weekend. Alright, we got quite a few people already rolled up in here. It's off here. Alright. Tripod here set up. Alright, good evening everybody. Welcome to the weekend. July sometime. Pretty smoky over here in Jersey still. James, how are you? Ivan, I see you rolled up in here. Howdy, howdy. 4, 7, I can't even read it. Things are moving. Dave Perkins, what's up? All right, so as you guys all know by now that I've done quite a few raffles with Ivan Ward over there at Black Cat Radio in New York, and he's doing a great thing. And there was a couple little burps in this raffle, and maybe another one, I'm not sure, but I'll say it in the video, guys. I don't run none of that stuff. Ivan does all of that. He just contracts me this box or whatever he asks me to build, and I give him a price, and he gets it over, and he gets that money over to me, and I get the unit to where it needs to go after the raffle. So, but I do know, and I'll make one comment about the raffle stuff. There is, when you check out, there's an option to take and put your numbers there, and if you don't put your numbers when you check out, so let's say you pick two numbers, it's $40. You're looking at, let's say you're looking for channel number 20, and let's say number 80. All right, let's say 80 or 88 or something like that. And if you don't put those numbers down when you make your payment as a note, in the notes there, just say, hey, this is for this slot and this is for this slot. That's all you have to do. And then you're guaranteed those numbers. But if you don't do that and you put them in the comments, they're going to get overlooked, and you're not getting ripped off. You're just not following the procedure of how the raffle's actually being ran. So keep that in mind if you guys are going to get in any raffle. Understand all of the rules on how to and get money A to B and your odds to it. And this is a good thing that these guys are out there doing. You have Panic Attack involved. You have Truck Ssb Sales involved. You have John Beck involved, Ivan Ward, and then myself, 123 Built Chicago. And he does involve some other builders in there as well, amp builders. I think Fat Boy was involved at one point or another, or maybe, oh man, I'm pulling a little brain fart here. Chuck Bunner is involved in some of this stuff as well. So there's a whole group of really good guys, and guys, you got to understand, you're just taking a small chance. Gamble responsibly if you want to look at it as gambling, but it is a raffle, and there's no guarantee that you're going to win these units. There's no guarantee that you're not. So either way, it's just a spin of the wheel. But this wheel has already spun and it came down, so I have to correct myself on the last video. I believe I said that Truck Ssb Sales did that last radio, the blue radio that's going with this amplifier. It's a custom radio. I don't know what type of radio is in there, I forget, but it does have my little 123 2-pill board in there, which is going to drive this unit. And we're going to try to simulate that for you today and be able to understand where you're at. Now, I said in the comments in the video that I was going to show this on video on sideband. It's really not necessary, but we already know that you normally back things down a little bit when you go to sideband. So if you have a hard-hitting radio and you can't control that amp in it, you can't back it down, then I probably wouldn't run too much on sideband or any, because you could simply overdrive one of these units very simply. So that said, let's move on forward and let's do this testing. So I am going to test on the antenna again tonight since it's just plugged in. I was talking Skip on this unit before I started to do this video, and I was talking to ground plane, I think Larry, L-E-R-R-Y, down in Tennessee. Ground plane Larry, you had to hammer down. We had a lot of fun with 400 watts, but this is what we're going to go with here. So we're going to show you 1,000 watt on an analog and a 25 watt on an analog reflection. 1,000 watts can be output power. Also going to use the signal generator up here. My voice is somewhere right around sine wave of 300 hertz. So we're going to use that for I don't have to hoot and holler in the microphone too much. And then we'll look at the Digital Dave stuff. And as you can see, I got a 500 watt slug in here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you my drive level and peak level on the 500 watts on the Digital Dave. And then we'll look at the 2,500 watts up here on the digital. So again, action-packed full of stuff. We do like to talk about the coax length, the jumper length from your radios to your equipment. And in this case, for this particular case, this isn't going to apply too much to the guy that has gotten that radio, but we'll start off with how we normally do it. So for my R&R Cobra 29 Dustin built radio, I'm running a half a wavelength of coax to the Texas Star. Now, a half a wavelength will differ in lengths of coax, and when you have anything other than the family of 0.66 or this type of, what's going on, Chuck? What's up, bug? So with this type of coax, you have the one family. This is a family that will fall into the equation of 12 feet, and no other family will. It's a 0.66 family. So you have the shortest length out of all of the families out there. If you run LMR coax or a Teflon coax or a Helix coax or Mini 8 foam coax, all of those have a higher VOP, meaning that the coax is going to be longer than 12 feet in layman's terms. So the best thing to do is stub tune your coax or know about what type of coax that you're using, because if you have any other length or any type of coax other than 213, 214, 217, or 218, or 9201 Belden, that's the smallest stuff, that's a 0.66 family. All of those pieces of coax are always going to be longer. So if you had got a piece of LMR and you cut it at 12 foot, you screwed that piece of coax up. The only thing you can do with it, you thought you made a half a wavelength, you did not. Probably made a 3/8 of a wavelength, but the only thing you can do to save that piece of coax is cut it properly to the next length down, which would be a 1/4 of a wavelength. And that's, it might be 7 or 8 feet long, depending on the coax, where 213 is going to be approximately 6 foot for a 1/4 wavelength. Oh, all right, enough hooting and hollering about that. I'm running a 12 or a half wavelength down to the Texas Star. From the Texas Star down to this 4-pill unit, I'm also running a 12 or a half a wavelength to be correct. You see I got a little 12 right there. So, regular business in the back. This switch does nothing. It just sits there and it looks pretty. Now, if you were to unplug this plug right here, right below it, or right above it I should say, is a fuse holder. And you just use a pick and you pull it out, and it's like a little shelf. It just slides out of here. And then you can replace the fuse if you blow it. All right, and if you do blow it, it is a smaller fuse in size. It's not like a regular barrel fuse, about a 1/2 inch or so long. This fuse is a little bit smaller, but there is an extra one in the pocket inside that sleeve. So it's designed to hold 2 fuses, one for a spare and one to be working. Now, I did test the amperage on the AC side of this unit. It's full operation output. And we're drawing right around 7.5 to 8 amps on the wall receptacle. All right, so just give you an idea on the AC current being drawn out of this, out of the AC out of your house, or the 120 volts that you're going to be using in your house, you're going to take and draw about 7 to 8 amps. Now, that's not a big thing to ask, but I really hate 120 volts just because it's lazy and it's not really very balanced, but it does its job, and the purpose for these boxes are, they're not killer, they're doing exactly what they're supposed to do. You have 4 transistors, you make 400 plus watts, and you're doing great. So as you look at this unit, I just turned this switch off. All this does is turn the fan on and off, and it makes a relay actually start working. Now, this is your main power switch. Nothing will happen if you have the switch off. You'll hear it click inside, and then you turn that on, you hear the fans. But if you leave that on, you can shut off the main, and it's not going to hurt anything. There's not some super inrush. It's going to blow up fans or anything weird like that. This power supplies that I use do have a slow start. They do have a short circuit protection in them, etc., etc., etc. So really nice units. 100 amp power supply inside these units that I'm working with. 108 CFM 120 millimeter fan kit, the Sun-Ons. These are great fans. I love them. I stuff them in everything I can build with. So with that said, here is the inside of this unit from front to back. It seems to work out really, really, really well. This amp runs great. So in fact, the DX really had a lot of fun with this thing, talking DX this afternoon. You go out there at 400, 420, and just go out and have a good time talking skip. That's a great thing. So, all right, looks like I got a few people up in here. We're going to take and start throwing some watts. I said in the heading of my video, this is RF therapy, and the reason why I call it RF therapy, because I work for so many hours sitting down looking at these things and building them, and then the only payback I get is when I get to test them and get them to run, and sometimes even get to talk some skip on them. So that's therapy to me. I really enjoy taking in and getting into these things once I get them built, and basically just showing them off, saying what you can and can't do with them. It's really important. So if you're a builder and you're trying to do a video, get your punch list and go down that list, and then you won't miss anything, and you can show everything we can possibly show on these amplifiers, and just discuss and talk about what you're building for people and how it works. And that's why I spend a lot of money and time on my equipment and time on my bench, where I can understand how everything works, and it's very, very important. So let's take and see how well this driver is going to work. All right, so we're going to go to the low side. I got it back down a bit. We're going to take and look at a 500 watt slug. So we'll take and bring this down to the reflect mode, and we'll go to RMS, and we'll take and we'll just put a tone on this thing. There we go. Oh, we're running right now. So we're at 45 watts RMS out of this unit. I have it back down just a little bit, and we're looking at 150, 160 watts peak. All right, that's cool. Now, if I had a voice, you're going to see that dance around a little bit. And I'll just do a little talking. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 audio. Hello. All right, so that's just how all that works. And that is the drive that we're putting in RMS and peak. So now we'll take and turn on this unit. And we'll take and see if I need this. Probably should have a little carrier, but maybe I won't even get none. There's something. All right. Got a little something going on. All right. Got a little carrier. So let's take a look at what we have going on. Now, let's look at my input drive level. Again, we'll look at that. Move this up to here and get that out of there, and we'll look at the RMS there. All right, so this is a 250 watt slug. Each line is 5 watts, and then a 25 watt slug is my input reflect going back to my driver. Now, I mentioned earlier that this system, the way I phase this out, isn't going to apply to the same guy. He's getting a radio, so he's going to run from that new base radio a half a wavelength from that radio right to the input of this amplifier, and then off to his antenna, or to a meter and then to the antenna. But if you're going for tying in a meter externally, you want to run another half a wavelength from this box to your console meter. So you would run 12 or a half a wavelength up to the meter, and then your antenna would plug in and go off to the antenna. So if you have a single antenna, that's how you phase this out. So it would be a half a wavelength from here down to here, or 12 feet, and then coming out of here going to your watt meter now would be another half a wavelength, or a 12 foot going to the meter assembly, and then off to your antenna. So that's the phase angle the guy needs to know that won this raffle, and that's 213. So keep that in mind. RG213 is a great thing. So let's take a look at the tone, and we're hanging out, like I said, right around 40-45 watts. Look at my input reflection here. Oh, we're up there right around 2.5, not terrible. And we are going to take a look at the RMS, with just a little bit of a drive on the digital Dave. All right, we're hanging out right around 400, 425, and that's the RMS. So we go up here and look and see at the 1000 watt slug. Each line is 20 watts, bottom scale, and we'll see right at our same 400, 420 watts or so. So that all looks good. Let's take and see where I'm doing here. All right, go here, 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 and here. All right, so let's look at the RMS again here in the digital, and 400, 425. And we'll just look at the old peaker tweaker here. Here we go. It's like I like to call it welcome to the shit show. because all these guys want to take and show and sell peak. And this is what it's doing at this drive level. Is that number going to increase? Absolutely will. All right, so here's my antenna. It's 25 watt slug, and it is not barely moving. We got a little over a half a watt. So it really likes the antenna. It's very, very happy. Now, let's take and increase my drive now. Let's cut this off. And we'll come over here. I'll drop my dead key down a bit. And we'll turn this up. So we're going to turn this up to where we're hanging out right around 70 watts or so. All right, there's 70 watts of drive. Hold on 1 second here. So I got something. Lighting just ain't right. All right, sorry about that. I had to kick on another light. I was getting some weird looking things going on across my camera. All right, now let's see where we left off. So we're hanging out here, I think, right around 70 watts or so. Yes, 70 watts. And we'll come on over here and see what our peak is at 70 watts. So now we're at about 200 watts peak, which is cool. It's no problem. It's 25 watts of transistor peak. And we're looking at the RMS right at 70, 75 watts. So now if I cut this on, let me cut this off for a second. Just throw a carrier. I'll turn this back on. All right, we got a little carrier here. All right, there we go. Got a little carrier. So now we'll take and go ahead and we'll give this a run. Let's see our working wattage. All right, we're going to look at our working wattage here on the 250 watt scale. So there's our 70 again. And then we're looking at our input reflection. It dropped down just a little bit because we're giving a little bit more drive. She's starting to saturate, and that's a good thing. So we dropped down just a smidge there, about a half a square. And let's take a look at what the RMS is showing me now. Remember, I'm on the antenna throwing this out. So I'm at 380, 385, 390, 400. All right, that's cool. Let's see what it says up here on the 1000. And it's showing me really good numbers there. Am I looking at the wrong slug? Yeah, I was. I was looking at I had that in the wrong mode. I was going past 500 watts, what was going on. All right, so moving on forward. So it's showing me about 475 up here. Let's look at the RMS now in forward mode. 475, 500 watts RMS. You see where it says forward right there? That's where the F is right there, 2500. All right, so go back up to this and we're looking at 475 watts RMS. That thing's absolutely getting it. So there's your 1000 peaks. You jumped up in there. All right, so everybody can do this stuff with the voice. Carrying on, we're not talking on let's see, weak network. If it kicks back in or not. Transmission is unstable due to a weak network connection. I probably got to reset my router. All right, well, moving on up. Reflection on the antenna is nice and stable. Let's take and put some voice on this thing and see what's going on with it. For a little carrier. Here's a little carrier, here we go. And we'll take and just do a little modulation. Audio 1, 2, audio worldwide, audio worldwide, audio 1, 2. So we're hanging out right around that 400 watts RMS, audio 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And 975 on the peak and the tweak. And let's see what we got here. Audio, 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 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's filled up right there at 400 watts. This box is going to be just a really good box, I think, for the winter. The combination is stunning. I mean, everything blue. I don't like a lot of blue, but that base looked really, really cool. And this box is going to match it up very nicely. What's going on, Benny? How are you, sir? So there you have that. I really don't know what happened to old Molly Moo. Where did Molly Moo go? Oh, there you are. How are you? How are you, Molly? You gonna sit down? Huh? You gonna sit? How's things? You gonna say hi? Say hello? Oh, you're just all about waves, aren't you? You working the peanut? You say hello? Molly, say hi. Hi, you gonna talk? What's up? You know what's up. The peanuts are what's up. So what do you think? It's Saturday. You ready for dinner? Yeah? You gonna say hello? Talk to me. What's up? Yeah? Come here and talk to me. Sit, Linda. So how's things? It's pretty hot outside, huh? Pretty smoky? Really smoky, huh? Is it hot? It's really hot, isn't it? Yeah? All right, you sit. You sit pretty. You sit pretty. There you go. There you can catch them. Yeah, you like to catch them. There you go. Ready to go, Pac-Man? Pac-Man! Go get all the peanuts. And she'll hoover up every one of those things, too. So So hey guys, listen, it is the weekend. I'm not going to hold you all too much, but there's only so much I can show on these little guys here. I could get in the whole sideband thing, but honestly it's not worth getting into. I've done them over and over again. If you'd like, you can go over to my YouTube and make sure you click on the live videos on YouTube, 123 Built Chicago, and go click on the live videos and you'll see all of the South Jersey stuff and all of the craziness I've been doing here for the past couple years here in New Jersey. And some really cool projects are in there, and some not so cool, but they're still information about things. So there you have it. I'm going to slide up out of here. Y'all take care. I'm sliding to the left. God bless.